Let's get started. Start with listening, and then learn new words and practice them in sentences.
Is reaching a C2 proficiency level in English enough to sound like a native speaker? This is a question that has sparked much debate and discussion among language enthusiasts and learners alike. In the realm of language learning, C2 proficiency represents the highest rung on the ladder. It signifies an advanced understanding of the language, an ability to converse fluently, and a sophisticated command of vocabulary and grammar. But does it mean sounding like a native speaker? Not necessarily. To sound like a native speaker is a different ballgame altogether. It's not just about the words you use or the grammatical constructions you're able to form. It's about the nuances, the cultural references, the idiomatic expressions, the regional variations, the rhythm of speech, and the unspoken rules that govern conversation. It's about understanding the language in a way that goes beyond the textbook and taps into the lived experiences of native speakers. Moreover, the idea of sounding like a native speaker is a bit of an illusion. It's a misleading goal because it assumes that there's a single, uniform way of speaking English, which is not the case. English, like any other language, is diverse and varied. It changes from region to region, from community to community, even from person to person. So, when we talk about sounding like a native speaker, whose accent are we talking about? Whose intonation? Whose idiomatic expressions? What's more, the quest to sound like a native speaker can sometimes overshadow the real goal of language learning, which is to communicate effectively. After all, the purpose of language is to express thoughts, ideas, and feelings, not to mimic someone else's way of speaking. So, while C2 proficiency is a significant milestone, it's not the end-all of English mastery. There's more to language than just rules and structures, and there's more to sounding like a native speaker than just perfecting an accent. In the end, it's about understanding and embracing the complexity, the diversity, and the beauty of the English language. It's about finding your own voice within it and using it confidently and effectively to connect with others. What makes native speakers sound native? Well, let's delve into the intricate elements that set native speakers apart. This isn't just about grammar, vocabulary, or pronunciation. It's about the subtle features that weave a rich tapestry of communication, which are often left out of the traditional language learning curriculum. Imagine a conversation among native speakers. Beyond the words and sentences, you'll notice a world of cultural references, idiomatic expressions, and regional accents. A native English speaker might casually insert a line from a popular song, a quote from a classic film, or a snippet of trending slang into their conversation. These cultural references add depth and color to their speech, making it feel more natural and engaging. Next, we have idiomatic expressions. Native speakers have an intuitive grasp of idioms, using them fluidly in conversation. For instance, if a native speaker says they're feeling under the weather, they're not literally talking about weather conditions. They mean they're not feeling well. Idioms like these are often tied to cultural metaphors and can be difficult to grasp for non-native speakers. But mastering them can add a layer of authenticity to your speech. Then there's the matter of regional accents. The English language is not a monolith. It varies greatly from one region to another, with each area boasting its distinct accent, vocabulary, and even grammatical quirks. A word pronounced one way in Texas might sound quite different in New York or London. Understanding these regional variations can give you a more nuanced understanding of English and help you sound more like a native. The beauty of these nuances is that they breathe life into language, making it more than just a tool for communication. However, mastering them purely through formal language study can be challenging. These elements are often learned best through immersion, by living and breathing the culture of the language you're learning. So, is reaching a C2 proficiency level good enough? Well, it's certainly a commendable achievement, but if you're aiming for that authentic native-like fluency, it's these nuances that will make all the difference. Mastering these nuances is what takes you from sounding highly proficient to sounding native. So, how can one bridge the gap between C2 proficiency and native-like fluency? Well, let's dive into that. Bridging this gap requires a shift in mindset. It goes beyond studying textbooks or grammar rules. It's about immersing yourself in the language, soaking up all its idiosyncrasies, and embracing its culture. Imagine you're learning to swim. You can read about strokes and techniques all day, but you'll only truly learn once you jump into the water. Similarly, you need to dive into the English-speaking world. Watch English movies without subtitles, read English novels, listen to English podcasts, or engage in English conversations. Now, let's talk about the fun part: colloquial language. Slang and idioms are the spice of any language, adding flavor and authenticity to your speech. They give you an edge, making you sound less like a textbook and more like a native speaker. So don't shy away from phrases like, "It's raining cats and dogs," or "That's a piece of cake." They might sound strange at first, but they're an integral part of sounding native. Another crucial aspect is intonation and pronunciation. English is a stress-timed language, meaning certain syllables are emphasized more than others. This creates a unique rhythm and melody. Paying attention to this can significantly enhance your fluency. Try mimicking native speakers. Notice their pitch, stress, and rhythm. It might feel like singing at first, but it's all part of the process. Lastly, don't forget about cultural contexts. Languages are deeply intertwined with their cultures. Understanding cultural references, humor, or customs can greatly aid your quest to sound native. So why not indulge in some English-speaking TV shows, or better yet, travel to an English-speaking country? But remember, this journey isn't about achieving perfection. It's about embracing the quirks and nuances of the English language. It's about feeling confident, being understood, and connecting with people. So don't stress about sounding exactly like a native. Instead, focus on integrating these nuances into your English. Remember, sounding native isn't about perfection, but about embracing and integrating these nuances into your English. Why is it important to sound native, and how can one gain the confidence to do so? This is the question we've been leading up to, and the answer is perhaps simpler than you might think. Firstly, sounding native helps in seamless communication. It's like a bridge that connects you to the people around you. When you speak like a native, you're not just communicating, you're connecting. You're showing that you've taken the time to understand their language, their culture, and their way of life. It's a sign of respect and empathy, and it helps foster a sense of belonging. Secondly, sounding native boosts your confidence. When you're able to express yourself without hesitation, when you can understand and be understood without any barriers, it gives you a sense of accomplishment. It's like unlocking a new level in a game. Suddenly, you have access to a whole new world of possibilities. Your confidence grows, not just in your language abilities, but in yourself as a person. Thirdly, sounding native allows for easier integration into English-speaking communities. When you sound like you belong, it's easier to feel like you belong. You're no longer an outsider looking in, but an integral part of the community. This sense of belonging provides a level of comfort and security that is invaluable. But above all, sounding native is about embracing your identity as a highly proficient English speaker. It's about owning your skills and abilities and being proud of the hard work you've put in to get to this point. It's about recognizing that you're not just a learner anymore, but a master of the language. So how do you gain the confidence to sound native? By practicing, by immersing yourself in the language and culture, and by being patient with yourself. Remember, it's not about perfection, but progress. And every step you take towards sounding native is a step towards building your confidence. So, while sounding native might be an ambitious goal, the journey towards it is a rewarding one, filled with growth, learning, and a deeper understanding of the English language and culture.
Let's learn new words and practice English at level C2. Proficiency, a high level of skill or expertise in a particular area. Example, achieving C2 level means you have exceptional proficiency in English, close to that of a native speaker. Fluency, the ability to speak or write a language smoothly and effortlessly. Example, while fluency is important, sounding natural also involves mastering cultural expressions. Nuance, subtle differences in meaning, expression, or tone. Example, understanding nuance in idioms and phrases is key to sounding more like a native speaker. Idiom, a phrase with a meaning that isn't directly related to the individual words. Example, native speakers often use idioms like hit the nail on the head, which can be challenging for learners at any level. Intonation, the rise and fall in the tone of voice when speaking. Example, mastering intonation can make your speech sound more natural and engaging, even at a C2 level.